बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। नूर मौलाना शाह करीम हुसैनी हाजी मुश्किल कुशा मेहरबान मौला मदद फरमा help us मौला help us we seek your mercy and your help मौला Ali Allah मदद फरमा Yali मदद to all friends.
Malali Madat Nevin Saiba, Nemat Saiba.
Shukr alhamdulillah. All right. So today we are going to have our class number 4 on this subject, Imam in Quran. And just to help you understand our sequencing, if anybody wonders at time, that we did a course on Jamaat Khana Shanasi as a group, and then we have started Imam Shanasi. And in that we have talked about introduction, then the importance of Ta'wil. Now our subject is completely focused in on the verses of Imam in Quran. And today is the fourth class for that subject. So today I have beautiful Farman for you to read. One of you can come forward and read, please.
تسلسلات الصلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. At Gadirakum, at Gum ya Gadir, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, I am leaving behind me two things which will continue till the day of judgment and will remain together till Jose Kosa. The Prophet continued, which are those two things? They are my progeny and the Quran. Both these things will continue till the day of judgment and will remain together till Jose Kosa. Bombay, 14th April 1893. Let's recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So we see the transliteration sometimes can be difficult to read. It is word Hose Kausar. So Kausar, I just want to comment on that, the way it is spelled with the sound of sa, which is not s actually. In Arabic, in Urdu, sa, there's a different level of tha, and it is this one is tha. So in English, there's a limitation. So everything is not then th or s. But I think we being bilingual, all of us we are, even if we don't speak another language, we are because our ears are used to hearing that. It's just that when one is in that environment, automatically they start speaking. But sometimes it is not easy to be in that environment. Like you travel and you're in another country and you just realize that, oh, you know this language because it is within us. So sometimes when I transliterate, I say S, and it is easier to say Kausar, even if we are not being able to say the th sound, and which is okay. At least it is nearer to Kautar. When our youngsters are now saying so weirdly, even the zikr, Kautar, and another zikr which I heard, and I was like, we need to move this th and put s. At least it will be nearer to the pronunciation. But it's just a side note. Beautiful Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, where Imam is actually talking about this event, Gadir Qum, the event which happened, and Imam is actually then referring to Hadith Saklain. So Imam is actually talking about two things, helping us to be paying attention to our history, that how these events had happened during the time of Prophet Muhammad, who actually is the beginner of that cycle. And being the last prophet, the last Natik, he had announced this at Gadir Khum, Man kuntu Maula Fahaz Ali in Maula, that whoever is I am master, Maula Ali is master. And the reason he did that, because he knew that the times were changing. The time of Imamat came, And the way we say it in our tariqah, in our Jamaat, that Zahurat happened. Imam manifested. When we say that, sometimes we don't understand that it is not that Imams were not here in this world, but they were hidden behind the prophets. Meaning, prophets at that time were a veil, hijab. And in our tariqah, there is a very strong, powerful concept of hijab. And we do need to understand how does it play the role. So in this context of Prophet Muhammad announcing Maula Ali's imamat in front of 10,000 people, 10,000 people, saying that whoever is I am master, Ali is master. And of course, Ali was not a Natik, but Ali was Imam. So he had a different rank. Rank of Natik is different from the rank of Imam. Nur is one. Nur is one. And we do know what had happened during Maula Ali's time. Another point which Imam is telling us to reflect, to review, to read, to really understand is Hadith Saklan, the Hadith of two heavy things, and that is the book first, and second is Imam. If you were to read the wordings of the Hadith Saklan, he mentions the book first and the progeny. Whereas Imam in this Farman mentions progeny first and Quran second. Why did he do that? And why Jamaat has this great difficulty to understand that Quran is our book? Remember the Ismaili Jamaat, especially the subcontinent Jamaat, Indo-Pak Jamaat, our peers had taught us about Imam, given us glad tidings to enter into the tariqah. He had given us the talimat of Quran, but in a very many ways actually. So Jamaat did not understand the knowledge of Quran. And this is 1893. Remember, the mission conference which happened was in 1945. So Imam also was preparing Jamaat by giving worldly education, promoting worldly education, secular education, to bring them to that level that understand Quran is your book. Now, when we read the words of the Prophet, Hadith Saklan, he mentions the book first and Imam second. So, even the sequence, Jamaat gets confused why this and that. But then what Prophet says that these both are going to remain together. We undermine that. Somehow we undermine that Imam is with Quran and Quran is with Imam. And they will be together until the day of judgment at the Hauz Kausar, the pond of abundance. So they are going to remain together. Today is the time, it is such a time that we are seeing more and more realization and understanding that there are so many um, secrets of our tariqah which are hidden in Quran. Our tariqah is from Quran. Quran is our book. And those who are Ismailis, who have hold on to the rope of Imamat, they are the only ones who can truly understand the Quran. Others cannot understand the hidden secrets in Quran. It is for Ismailis to understand it. So Alhamdulillah, this is something we have to continue to reflect and understand. In context of this Farman, our topic today is going to be Imam as a speaking book. Very interestingly, one of the title is of Imam is speaking book, Qurane Natik. So there are two terms. Please, those friends who know the term, write it down in the chat so others can benefit from the spellings. One is Qurane Samit, meaning silent book. Another is Qurane Natik, meaning the speaking book. Today, inshallah, we are hoping to talk about speaking book as well as Imam as a guide and mercy. We'll see if we can finish it. If we're not, we'll continue the next time. So these two are the topics today we are going to talk about. Now, the first verse which will help us understand this is 2 by 2. So I would like one of you to please read the translation in Urdu and one in English.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम सूरतुल बकरा 2। वो किताब है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं, परवरदिगारों के लिए हिदायत है।
Subhanallah. Good. You understood that you had to read that much only. Good job. Who is going to read in English?
I'm reading from the Corpus Quran, and this is Sahih International. Unless you want me to read anybody else, I've got the pictorial. My Quran is pictorial. But this is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those conscious of Allah.
Subhanallah. So, what you just read, that shows that you forgot somehow what we had talked about 2 classes ago. And we discussed about the word zalika, which means that is the book. So, what would be the good habit is always open your book. Why? Because in your book, you will highlight, you will mark, and you will write. So, when Zinat read, she corrected it in Urdu and she read, that is the book. So, that is why we have tagged our Quran and we want to open up the Quran because it will make a difference. Yes, online will be quicker, no doubt about it. But it is important that we open up our Quran and see the words and mark it. And I hope your Quran is bigger copy, so it is easier. Sometimes when we get the Quran, the copies are so small that it is hard. And that is why we have recommended you to get Yusuf Ali, which is a big Quran. It is available on Amazon and it has transliteration as well because we do need transliteration. It doesn't matter whose translation you read, it doesn't matter actually. But you will make your own correction and you will look at the transliteration. So, seeing the transliteration, the first word of this verse in chapter 2, second verse says Zalika. And the word Zalika actually means that. That is the book. So, this verse actually is referring to Imam. That is the book in which there is no doubt. That is the book in which there is no doubt. It is a book of guidance for those who are pious. Now, my Quran, give me one moment. My Quran is Urdu. I like to read it in Urdu. So that's what my challenge is, but I will open up in English too so I can. So the second chapter, second verse says, that is the book which has in which there is no doubt. So any translation you read, majority of the translators have translated this word Zalika as this is the book. Why did they do that? Because it doesn't make sense. Which that book is which book? They don't understand. It is only the Smileys who understand that Allah is talking about the speaking book, that book in which there is no doubt. When we read this one as this is the book in which there is no doubt, a guidance and a mercy for those who are conscious of Allah, who are pious, who are righteous. Now, those who are following the Quran, unfortunately, what we are seeing, there is so many divisions, there is so much of chaos, conflict in Muslim world. So it doesn't make sense. Why would Allah say that if you were to have this book, then in that this book there is no doubt, as well as this will be your guidance for the pious people. So everybody claims to be pious, but why aren't we guided as Muslim Ummah? Why there is conflict? Shia, Sunni conflicts are constantly going on in some countries. All this logical understanding, logical reasoning helps us understand that how and why these scholars would translate this word as not that but this. Why? Because they are seeing this book from Allah They expect this book to guide them because it says very clearly that this book is for guidance and for those who are righteous. But unfortunately, they have forgotten the Hadith Saklan. Hadith Saklan says very clearly, it's a farman of Prophet Muhammad, and we follow our Natik, and he said that I'm leaving behind me the book and the progeny, my Al. When they don't accept the Al, what happens? They say, this is the book. Whereas the word in Arabic language says, that is the book. These scholars say, this is the book, because they are thinking this book should be enough. But in reality, this book has been compiled and printed, and there are times you find errors. The sequence has been changed, meaning it is in the power of a human to change the sequence. When humans do that, there is a doubt, there is a possibility of doubt. But because of these scholars who cannot comprehend that there is another book of Allah, so they translate it as, this is the book. Here, in reality, Allah is talking about that is the book, which is the speaking book in which there is no doubt, and in that book is the guidance for us. And we see, being Ismaili Jamaat, we are being guided, and we have no problem understanding this book as well as live in this world as a progressive community benefiting from secular world, secular education, the worldly life, and the spiritual life. It is the Jamaat, Ismaili Jamaat, who is truly understanding this verse when Allah says, that is the book in which there is no doubt. It is the Imam in whom there is no doubt. Does anyone has any question in this verse? If not, then we will go to the next verse, which is chapter 23, verse 62. बहुत ही छोटा खुलासा आप लोगों के लिए कि हमने फरमान में इमाम के फरामीन को जब हमने पढ़ा, हदीस सकलैन के बारे में पढ़ा, गदीर खुम के मकाम के बारे में पढ़ा, और हमने ये समझा कि क्यों इमाम ने जो है वो हदीस सकलैन की बात की, क्योंकि इसमें कुरान और आल दोनों की बात आती है। उसी के हवाले से आज हमारा जो टॉपिक है वो ये है कि इमाम जो है वो बोलता कुरान है। इमाम जो है वो बोलता कुरान है, जिसे हम कहते हैं कुरान नातिक, कुरान सामित जो खामोश किताब है, जो कि हमारी कुरान की किताब है, और कुरान नातिक जो है वो बोलता कुरान यानी कि इमाम ज़मान है। उसी के हवाले से हमने सूरह बकरा की दूसरी आयत को देखा, जिसमें कहा गया ज़ालिका। जो लफ्ज़ ज़ालिका है उसके मानी है वो किताब जिसमें कोई शक नहीं। लेकिन जब आप ट्रांसलेशंस को देखेंगे तो ज़्यादातर ट्रांसलेशन जो है वो कहेंगे ये किताब जिसमें कोई शक नहीं है। तो ये किताब जो है वो इंसानों ने बनाई है, इंसानों ने इसकी सीक्वेंस चेंज की है, इसको प्रिंट किया है, तो हो सकता है कि कहीं ना कहीं कोई गलती मिल सके। ऐसी कौन सी किताब है जो इंसान ने नहीं बनाई है, जो खुदा ने बनाई है और जिसमें कोई शक नहीं है? वो किताब जो है बोलता कुरान यानी कि इमाम ज़मान है। और इसी हवाले से आज हमारा टॉपिक जो है वो बोलता कुरान और इमाम कैसे हमारे लिए एक हिदायत और रहमत है, जो हकीकत में हम इस आयत में पढ़ रहे हैं कि खुदा ने वो किताब भेजी है जिसमें कोई शक नहीं है, वो जो तमाम के लिए एक हिदायत है। तो आज हम उसी पे बात करेंगे। तो अब हम चैप्टर 23 वर्स 62 को पढ़ेंगे। जी।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। सूरह मोमिनीन सूरह 23 आयत 62। और हम किसी नफ्स को इसकी ताकत से ज्यादा तकलीफ नहीं देते, और हमारे पास एक दफ्तर है जो हक के साथ बोलता है, और उन पर कुछ भी जुल्म ना किया जाएगा।
सुभान अल्लाह। जी।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम।
And we task not any soul beyond its scope. And with us is a record which speaketh the truth, and they will not be wronged. Shukran. Alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So let's just look at the transliteration to first identify the words. In this verse, if you were to look at the transliteration, وَلَا نُكْلِفُ نَفْسٍ إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا وَالدُّنْيَا كِتَابٌ يَنْطَقُ. These two words, كِتَابٌ يَنْطَقُ. These two words you got to underline. This means speaking book. Yantuk meaning speaking. Kitab, kitab is book, the speaking book. So when we are talking about Imam being the Quran-e-Natiq or the speaking book, it is coming from this verse. The title of Imam being the Bolta Quran or the speaking book is coming from the Quran itself. So underline that word. And let's read the second verse because they are almost similar. Let's read 45 by 29 as well, and then we will talk about both the verses together.
Nay, but their hearts are in ignorance of this Quran, and they have other works besides which they are doing.
Zubeda, I don't think you read the right verse. 45 by 29.
Oh, you're saying, oh, I was looking at the one following. Um, uh, I was reading 63, verse
Okay.
63.
It's a good habit. When you study individually, it is a good habit to read verse above
Yeah,
the verse and the
yeah,
below the verse. But
yeah,
remember, we are doing very specific study currently to
yes,
understand the verses which we are studying right now, right? So we need to focus on those verses. But when we become very comfortable, it's an advanced kind of habit. In the beginning, we got to keep things simple. So what we are understanding, we understand that first. And yes, it's a good habit when you're individually studying, do that. It's a good habit. And that's how the studies should be. But it's not right in the beginning stages because you will have questions more than that and you don't know, and you'll be kind of distracted than what you were studying. It's a good idea to learn step by step. So yes, when we hear these advanced, ways of learning, these are good things. It's a habit of good personal search, and you can definitely do that. But I like to go step by step so we become very good in what we are studying. Okay? G. 45 by 29.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम चैप्टर 45 आयत 29 ये हमारी किताब है जो तुम्हारे मुतल्लिक हक के साथ बोलती है बेशक हम लिखाते थे जो तुम करते थे शुक्र लिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह
Mahala was going to read in English.
Surah 45, Ayah 29. This our book pronounced against you with truth. Lo, we have caused that you did to be recorded.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So let's look at the transliteration of this verse now. The first word says, Haza kitabuna yantaqu. The second and the third word, kitabuna meaning the book, yantaku meaning the speaking book. So the objective of reviewing these two verses was to help you see where this term, the speaking book, is coming from. It is coming from Quran, and Imam is that speaking book. तो यहाँ पे इन दो आयतों में हमने जो है ये देखा कि किस तरह से खुदा ताला एक बोलती किताब की बात करता है. The book which speaks, and this is 1400 years ago. We did not have technology for the book to be read to us. Today, if I say speaking book, somebody will say, oh, yeah, we can listen to the audio books. But no, that's not what we are talking about. This book is such a book which speaks, which talks, which guides. And the Prophet was, in an allegorical term, alluding to Imam-e-Zaman, Maula Ali alayhi salam, whose Imamat Prophet Muhammad announced at Ghadir-e-Khum. So the question here would be, first question we have answered. The first question is, which is this speaking book? Right? And it comes very easy for us. Why? Because we have Iman. We have this true treasure of our Iman. Even at the beginning stage, when it is a blind faith level, it is a very huge blessing that we do have faith. Yes, with knowledge, step by step, it becomes very strengthened and strong. So, what we are saying here, when we ask this question, ये कौन सी किताब है? ये किताब इमाम ज़मान है, which is different from the book which is Quran. Quran का title है खामोश किताब, silent book, whereas Imam is speaking book, Quran Natik. Now the second question would be, is this book visible to us? And here we see that problem. Why would they translate this is the book? Because that book is not visible to all. That book is not visible to all. It is not apparent to all. Why? Because people are looking literally for a book. When they see the literal word, they are saying this is the book. But remember, Quran is full of allegories, and we have to really connect the dots. And with the help of Imam's Farman, in which Imam is talking about two things, Gadir Khum and Hadith Saklan, by believing in the Prophet Muhammad, we are very comfortably, very easily got that conclusion that we are talking about Imam here, in whom there is no doubt. So is that book apparent? Yes, for Smileys it is very apparent. जो Smileys है उनको कोई शक नहीं है, उनको कोई मसला नहीं है, क्योंकि उनको बुक नजर आती है. बोलता कुरान is Imam Zaman. Now, very interestingly, just for the sake of our reflection and understanding these Quranic verses which we study, if we were to say, look at this verse, that is the book, and there is no book which is visible. Are we implying that Allah has kept a book which is a book of guidance with Himself only? That would be the outcome. If we were to say that is the book, then where is that book? Because people can't see that book. So are we saying that God has kept that book with Himself and then He just leaves us with this silent book and says, do not go astray? How is this book is the book of guidance, and expectations are that do not go astray? If we were to only accept this silent book, then we will be able to conclude that those who have this silent book are unfortunately not being able to stay on the path, because this book teaches us about unity. This book teaches us about being good. But Muslim Ummah right now is in chaos. Why? Because there is no living guide. So, in other words, we are saying God is just and God is merciful. He would never leave humanity without a living guide. And that is the guide who is the living book. He is the Imam. So, Allah is just and Allah is merciful. And that same nur of justice and mercy is within Imam. Imam is that just and merciful Imam. So, in other words, what we are saying, when we truly critically look at these verses and draw logical conclusions, applying reasoning, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. If it were to make sense, if we were to accept this logic, then it sounds like that Allah is not merciful. And that would be incorrect. Allah has sent the book in which there is no doubt, and it is the guidance for mankind. And that book is actually Imam Zaman. And very interestingly, this Hadith Saklan says the physical book, the Quran, and the progeny will never be separated until the day of Qiyamah. Meaning, those who separate these two, those who are having difficulty to see Imam as speaking book, Imam as the with the silent book, they are making pieces of religion. And there's a beautiful verse in Quran actually. It says that why do you make parts in my book? Why do you make parts? Meaning, why are you separating things? So what people say, probably it's about the sections and whatnot. We have to keep the Quran whole ready. That is not the case. It is separating the light, which is Imam, and the book, physical book. Imam and the physical book will never be separated. Now, when I say that, then one can ask, we just said that this book can have errors. So, this book which can have error can be with Imam, or let's say, is Imam keeping the book all the time with him? No. Logically, no. Then what are we saying? Then we are saying that the essence, the soul of this physical book is with the Imam in the form of the light. And that's what Imam gives us in his Hidayat. In today's time, the times are such that we do need to read this Tanzil, Tanzil meaning the revelations, to understand how we are Muslim Ismailis. Otherwise, Jamaat is being lost when they are being asked the question, how are you Muslim first? And that is why it has become extremely important for us to now know this physical book too. Not that all the Ismailis never knew, majority of the Ismailis do know the book too. But those who are not very well aware are catching up, and that's beautiful. That's what we need to do. So I hope that we have understood logically that how we are calling Imam as the speaking book. Now, when we look at the 45 by 29, very beautifully it says this. Interestingly, they have translated the word haza here as this, which is the correct translation. In Arabic, haza means this, zalika means that. But do you see how their beliefs misled them? They have translated zalika as well as haza as this. They are not same words, they are different words. So this is what will happen when we critically look at the one words and which we are trying to understand. So yes, we want to learn the whole Quran. Before that, after that, everything we want to learn. We are listening to different lectures and we get very impressed. But we have to understand, we got to go step by step to learn what we are learning, to become very strong and firm. This is the book, this our record speaks about you in truth. This our record, kitabuna yantaku. So this is the book of record speaks about you in truth. Now we understood this Kitab-e-Natik is the speaking book and it speaks about us in truth. What does that mean now? Meaning, we always have heard that our Amal Nama, our book of deeds, is within the Imam. Our book of deeds is within the Imam. Our Imam is our paradise. Our Imam is our account. Everything is our Imam. And this verse says it speaks about you in truth. And that is what we are referring to. That whatever we do, the accounts are actually within the Imam. Imam, who is the book, speaking book, but our accounts are kept within that book. Our Amal Nama is within that book. Now the question would be how? We don't see Imam being the Google Drive or OneDrive. How are all Smiley's accounts will be kept in Imam? Imam is actually book of luminosity, Kitab-e Nuraniyat, book of luminosity. Those who follow the Imam, those who follow the guidance of the Imam, their Hisab Kitab, their Amal Nama is within the Imam. And that is why it is said in the Quran, and with us is the book which speaks the truth. ये किताब जो है वो सच बोलती है. Meaning our book of deeds are kept in Imam, in his Nuraniyat, in his luminosity. We all are connected to our Imam. We all are connected to our Imam. How are we connected? Here comes the concept we studied last time briefly. Particles, the world of particles. We being the particle of that soul, Imam being the ocean of the soul, all our particles, all our deeds are noted within the Imam. And that's what our peers told us. Maula jane chit ki chori. So I hope that you're linking what we are saying. This book, if you were to look at the Arabic transliteration, it says it is haq, haq meaning truth. And that is how that this book is keeping all the records. It speaks the truth with the language of light. With the language of light. It is all about Noor. We are all guided by that Noor on how to walk on Sirat al-Mustaqim. When Allah says that He has this speaking book, meaning that there is a book in addition to Quran, and that is the Imam-e-Zaman. They both actually belong to God. But when we talk of the speaking book, it is like the soul of the silent book. It is the soul of a silent book. जो कुरान के अंदर नूर है, कुरान की जो रूह है, वो इमाम ज़मान के साथ है. इसी तरह से ये किताब और इमाम एक है. Imam is that speaking book which is manifested. He is the speaking and the manifest Imam. So when we see Imam, we don't see the Quran physically. Where is that Quran? Somebody can be very literal and say, Hadith Saklan says that they will never be separated. So how do I see that Quran is with Imam? Quran, the silent book, is like a hidden book within the Noor of Imam. And that Noor is miraculous. That Noor is exalted. And I would say we are very blessed to be knowing Imam first and then studying the Quran next. It becomes so much easier. So much easier. He's merciful, truly. He's expecting us to work hard, but He's not testing us. Our test is to commit time and to study. But He's not testing us. This is our own love and desire to learn about Him. So what we are saying that the Noor of Quran, the spirit, the spirituality of the book is actually hidden, is actually in the batin of Imam. Yesterday, it was in the batin of Maula Ali. Today, it is Hadr Imam. Same chain of light of Imamat. And we were to think about Maula Ali, we would say it is the same continuation. Nurun Allah Nur, light upon light. that chain of the light of Imamat is continuous. So it is in that sense we are saying that the Imam Barhaq, the true Imam. There are very many people who are called Imam in today's time. Every mosque will have an Imam, paid employee to take care of the mosque. We are not talking about other Imams. We are talking about the Imam who is Ale Nabi Aulade Ali. Ale Nabi Aulade Ali. Imam Barhaq. Someone can write down this term too. Imam Barhaq in the chat so people can note the right spelling. Imam Barhaq, the true Imam. I think I'll stop here because I'm seeing overwhelming faces today. Why is that so? And I can give one reason before anybody tells me. My reasoning is that I've been telling you that I will be asking you to read the Quran translation. And today I did not have slides, and that's it. It threw you off because I did not have the slides. Remember, step by step, we need to become comfortable to be able to open up our Qurans so we can be ready. And the verses which we are going to do next classes, they all are written. So you can note down, put a sticky on those pages. So it's easier, it's quicker, and you can open up the Quran. So be ready because we need to be able to open up the Quran because we have tagged the Quran. So that's my assumption. I could be wrong. Tell me what are the reasons? How are you feeling?
It's quite taxing, actually. I mean, we've only done two ayahs, but they are so very heavy going. It really needs time to reflect on.
Good, good.
I do it. It's enjoyable because then, I go into different parts and see how they have translated what they have said. And yeah, it's quite, but it's time consuming as well.
Yes,
Yes,
that's the test,
yes.
that we want to study. But my humble request would be that do focus study. Keep things simple. I know we want to learn everything, but if you keep things simple and easy for you and become very good on what you're learning right now. And for that, you do need to do pre-reading because it will be easier for you to absorb. And then you do post-reading or post-listening to the lectures and reading as well. That would help, uh, you know, all these points which we are discussing, it will register in our mind. So yes, in the beginning, it's difficult in the sense it requires time. I don't think the concepts are difficult because we have always heard these things. But we are doing it differently by picking up the Quran and looking at the Arabic transliteration, which I hope gives you joy that you now know the Quranic words and it makes sense to you, right? So I don't think it is difficult, but you are absolutely correct. It is time consuming and sometimes for some it is overwhelming. My humble advice would be control. Don't go here and there. Stay focused.
So Niamat, this is Shabira. I'm sorry, usually the first half hour I'm driving, but I do read the ayats ahead of time, and
Good.
I just find that, um, I do make the changes in the Quran, but I really like the fact that you remind us and you connect the dots for us, because then the next time you say it, it's easier and easier. So for today, like the concepts were not difficult, but I think just the clarity around the languaging, um, I needed that reinforcement of why that is used. So I think that's where the real, still need that reinforcement from you. When you say that, I'm like, wow, I'm really starting to get this.
Shukran Mola. Shukran Mola.
So
Thank
yeah,
you for sharing that.
yeah, and I appreciate you going a little bit slow. Um, like I felt today, I could sit and tell you exactly what you told me. So I at least understood like the different areas where the proof is, and starting with the Farman. and then of course the hadith, and then going to the verses of the Quran, two of which I know we had covered before as well. So, and I usually do read the verse before and after. I may not understand it, but you can start to see the logic behind it. So there's a lot of comfort I'm finding. I'm opening the Quran and I can just read different parts, but of course I could never pull it together. This is like so meaningful, so meaningful. Like today there was a farman in Beitul Kal after the Bangi where it was a farman on the use of um, education and intellect as being a spiritual value, and the commitment to that, and then applying that to understand what our ethics are. And there was sort of a warning in the Farman that balance between the spiritual. So the commitment to educating ourselves is how we have quality of the life, as Imam was saying, and I'm paraphrasing it. And he used, like, I thought such an interesting, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, but if you just give me 1 second. And, and I could relate it back to all the teachings where he said this balance between the spiritual and material. It was so interesting. I would never have picked up the words this accurately before, but he says, do not accidentally lose this balance. Do not lose this balance, accidentally or otherwise. And I thought, wow, I'm telling you, it's all these teachings that have made me so much more perceptive of every word he utters now.
Mm, very true.
So thank you for that.
Do you have the reference of that Farman, please?
Yes, it was a Farman made at Darkhana in Pakistan. Maulana Sultan Momchai says every word is like a pearl. And honest to God, like now when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, I would never have, to use the word accidental. I thought, wow, that means mindlessly. If you live mindlessly, it's going to be accidental. You're not taking this seriously, right?
So beautiful sharing, Shabira. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Every individual is at a different level, right? So, Shabira, when you invest time in reading before and after, it helps you understand things and keeping, and the way, with your own zikr ibadat, the way your perceptiveness will increase, your comprehension will increase, the way you will connect the dots, it will happen to all of us, all of you. But it happens step by step. It happens step by step. And the reason I suddenly became slowed down, I would like to give the credit to Anis. Why? Because I could see her, and I could see her, and I could read by looking at her that I really need to slow down. How would I know if I don't see you all? The new friends who are joining, I don't see you all, I don't get that feedback, and that limits me. That limits me. And so when you are, I'm able to see, I'm able to understand and help you immediately without you telling me. Non-verbal communication is going on. So that is the reason that I say that if your cameras are open, it helps me. Otherwise, I was planning to do 5 verses and we just did 3 today. And one was review actually. But it was needed and that's okay. Because you are the learners. If that's what you would like, I would do that. But I need to know, how would I know? Right? So I need that help from you all to communicate, to give feedback, so to slow down or to go faster. So that is one thing. But then there are friends, I do know those who share with me that even this today's speed was too fast for them. It was hard for them. So for those friends, I have again um, two uh, very humble advice. Number one, do the pre-reading, post listening to the lecture, and then reading the references. Do your own work. Prepare yourself before and after, and then it is a good idea to seek one of you in the group, whoever you feel comfortable. If you don't find anybody, if you want Naveen Saiba to help or me to assign somebody to ask somebody to help you, we can do that. There are friends who are willing to give their time to help you understand, because it's a khidmat, right? It's a khidmat we are doing for each other. And what Shabira said, she was relating it to Imam's Farman, that you will understand it with intellect. And that's what I say. The joy when I talk about, that is the joy when you will truly understand, you'll feel that joy. And not only that it is limited to joy, that's the, one thing I say to motivate you. But in reality, in long run, it is a healing for our soul. It is a healing for our soul. That one point will become a footstep for us to climb up to go to the next step. So there are so many things which are happening simultaneously when you understand things. So it is crucially important that you do your own work and let me know what I can do. We are working, helping each other, so we can all, do what we are intending to do, teach and learn, so we can all learn together.
Yeah, Ali Madad Baima.
Murali Madad.
Can I say something, Baima, from my experience?
Gee, why not? Gee.
I will try in English, Baima. So actually, when I started, I was like, that I overthink, and what I used to do, when you explain all this, as Baima, I was not reviewing it properly, and I was going to read these things and that. I don't know how to say English, but मैं ना सब ज्यादा ज्यादा दूसरा पढ़ने चले जाती थी. लेकिन ये मुझे तब रियलाइज हुआ कि जब आपने रिव्यू रखा था ना, तो मुझे लगा कि मैंने तो कुछ समझा ही नहीं है. और फिर मैंने आपका सब वापस से सुनना शुरू किया. तो बस मेरी एक हम्बल हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट है सब जो नए लोग हैं कि आपकी क्लास जब हो जाती ना, तो स्टार्टिंग के जो 2-3 दिन है ना, उसमें कम से कम आपको ही वापस 2 बार सुनना चाहिए. मैंने सीखा, और उसी पे रिफ्लेक्ट करना चाहिए, उसी आयात को पढ़ना चाहिए. फिर 2-3 दिन के बाद पूरा इंटरनलाइज हो जावे ना, फिर उसको ऐड ऑन करने के लिए आप कुछ पढ़ो. इट्स ओके. नहीं तो क्या होता है कि ये चले जाता दिमाग में से, और है ना, फिर हम वापस नए कंफ्यूजन के अंदर आते. ये मेरे साथ बहुत हुआ है बाइमा. तो आई डोंट नो कि दिस इज, मुझे लगता है कि नए लोग अगर ये करेंगे ना, तो उनको ये जो अभी लग रहा है ना, बहुत ऐसा कि स्पीड ज्यादा लग रही या समझ, तो वो फर्स्ट टाइम में नहीं आता. भाई मैं आपको 2-3 बार जब तक हम नहीं सुनते ना, तब तक नहीं आता. तो मेरी बस ये एक मुझे शेयर करना था भाई माँ. थैंक यू भाई माँ, याली मदद सबको, याली मदद.
Thank you, Gulzar Malali Madad. Thank you for sharing that. And I truly believe what she's saying. Yesterday, she sent me a message crying, and she's saying that now I understand you. Now I realize what you were telling me in the beginning, and she said it all. So it's just, very humbly I do say, but I'm telling you, this is all based on experience. It's all, I'm making it very simple and easy. And I'm surprised that if you have to listen to it twice, which one may need, I don't know. For me, I say to myself, how can I make it more simple? How can I make it more easy? So, Jamaat, my friends, do not have difficulty. But if that's what is needed and required, we got to do that. And then, very, very important, because everybody's attending so many different lectures and we are all get excited and do this and do that. And Gulzar said it, and that's what I have been saying. Stay focused. Stay focused. This is your main class. When you're in advanced class, this is your main class. You need to stay connected to this class and understand all the concepts, because we are truly learning these concepts step by step. Believe me, all what you've been hearing, you may not understand it. You just hear it. It will not make sense. But if you become stronger in this conceptual learning, which is step by step, you will understand everything. You will understand everything. I tell you that with complete confidence. I give you that guarantee that if you understand, if you stay loyal, if you stay faithful to your learning here, you will understand everything. But it will happen in time, step by step, step by step.
I just wanted to share one thing with your permission. At times we are, it's a very, very materialistic dunyavi example, so please forgive me for that. But You know, when we go to eat food, and if we go to a buffet, do we ever feel satisfied after eating a buffet? Majority of people will say they enjoyed the food so much. But do you have the taste in mouth for a longer time after a buffet? You'll say no. So what happens is the only biggest thing is if you have made a commitment to advanced class, don't go to buffets. Be advanced class should be your class as a priority. If you miss something else, you can always listen to the recording. Don't try to go in every class, every single thing, because that will make a buffet in your brain. It is not easy to understand it. What one of the friend recently shared with me, how to understand this is she started writing after each session, what is she understanding? If there was nothing new you learned, she stopped attending those sessions. And she's like, I started reviewing my advanced notes more and more, so I progressed faster. And then if I would attend a higher level session, like, maybe Dr. Fakir Sahib's session or something like that, she was able to comprehend better. Because advanced classes, what it does is it gives you the idea, it gives you the help of the teacher to open the Quran, to read the words, to get you familiarized with the Arabics and with the words which in the higher level classes it's talked about. It helps us connect the dots faster. But when we try to listen to every single thing, it's hard to stay. Advanced classes, it's the most important thing. And then, if comes a question, you can always reach out to Niamat Saiba. But that was my humble understanding. Yalimadaya.
Thank you for saying that, actually. That is really helpful, because sometimes it does get overwhelming. I know when I took the Quranic studies course, the biggest mistake I made is try to learn everything. And I wish after every class I had just said, hey, what are the really 3-4 important things? I can always go back to my notes, but I think I missed out on a lot more by not figuring out what was the key concepts. And thank you for saying that, because I do take good notes and I keep track, but I think it's important to go back and sort of ask myself, what are the key concepts I've learned here? So that was very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, Naveen Sahib, you are so right that advanced class we have to concentrate on the more advanced part and not making a buffet of everything, You're so right. And thank you so much. Your advice was good. And inshallah, we'll follow all your advices. And Niamat Sahib, thank you. आप ना वॉकिंग में आप थोड़ा सा स्लो जा रहे थे तो it was little good for me too. I always understood, but this time little slow was more understanding. शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। मौला आप लोग को दीन और दुनिया में सुखी सलामत और आबाद रखे। मौला पापा आप लोग की सेवा कबूल करे। एंड मौला ग्लोबल जमात को सबको दीन और दुनिया में सुखी सलामत आबाद रखे और हम लोग को ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग दे। मौला हेल्प करे हम लोग को टू अंडरस्टैंड हिम मोर डीपली as the platform Mola has given us. Through you we can understand everything. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Ma.
Yali
Thank you.
Madad. Thank you,
Yali
Naveen
Madad.
Saiba. Yali Madad.
Yali Madad. All right. Thank you so much, friends, for being so candid and sharing, words of wisdom and experiences. That's very helpful. We'll take your leave now. Chalo. Yali Madad. Yali Madad.
Yali Madad. Yali Madad. Thank you.